In news I probably should have been talking about 2 years ago rather than today, Marvel Comics have finally decided to pull the plug on the latest installment of Captain Marvel, this time from Kelly Thompson. And I will give them a little bit of credit. They actually stuck with this one a little bit longer than they have in the past. I think this is the 13th or 14th iteration of this version of Captain Marvel. And just think about this. Batman has been in publication for 80 years, and he's had less #1 issues than Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. Just think about that kind of history. The fact that they have to constantly reboot this character, sometimes with new writers, sometimes without new writers. Sometimes they just keep the same artist just to get a #1 issue out there so people might act like they're excited about this version of Captain Marvel, who they claim is the Earth's mightiest Avenger. Better than Captain America, better than Iron Man, better than Hulk, better than Thor, better than Doctor Strange, better than Black Panther, better than everybody. And I think that's been one of the real reasons people haven't connected with the character. Sure, the Carol Corps was out there at the beginning to create some AstroTurf enthusiasm for the series, but that never actually caught on with the actual normies, and it's just been a languishing title for years upon years. I don't actually think it has to be this way. I think if they put somebody competent that knew how to create good comic book stories and make a character relatable, Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel is probably salvageable even at this point. But they'll never do that. And that's why this is just all par for the course. It's rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over and over and over again with this character. This is what comicbook.com had to say. Fan favorite writer Kelly Thompson will be wrapping up her run on Captain Marvel this summer. Thompson relaunched Captain Marvel back in 2018 and has taken Carol Danvers and her allies on exciting adventures on Earth as well as in the cosmos. Some of the redefining story arcs include Re-Entry and The Last Avenger, along with tie-ins to blockbuster events like War of the Realms and Empire. Captain Marvel is currently tied up in an X-Men crossover titled Revenge of the Brood, which features the return of the alien parasites. I'm pretty sure I talked about that here on the channel, but I didn't realize she was in that story arc. I don't think I remember that it was supposed to even happen. And did any of you read Re-Entry, a redefining story arc for the mightiest adventure of them all? Did anyone read The Last Avenger? Where basically, I think it was the second or third time that Kelly Thompson has decided to use a story trope to show that Captain Marvel could defeat every other Avenger that ever lived. And that's why the character's boring and no one's ever going to remember this run. And I hate to break it to him, Kelly Thompson's not a fan favorite writer. She has a fan and she's probably their favorite, but that's like one. When you say fan favorite, that indicates that a lot of people like that writer. Nobody reads anything for Kelly Thompson. She's not the worst. Like, she's not completely incompetent, but she's not very good either. And when you get a character like Captain Marvel, your hands are tied. You can't challenge them. You can't do anything with the character. All you can do with the supporting cast is constantly repeat to her that she's absolutely amazing. The only thing you're allowed to do with the Avengers is let them demonstrate that Captain Marvel Carol Danvers is more powerful than them. And that's why the character dies on the vine time and time again. And they tried the same thing in the MCU with Captain Marvel. And it made a lot of money. There's no denying that. We'll see how the sequel does, but I just don't think there's a whole lot of enthusiasm for the character. Carol Danvers used to be awesome. She didn't really know if she belonged. She doubted herself. She wasn't the kick-ass, amazing Air Force pilot that's so much more awesome than everyone else in the entire world that it makes people who buy the comic book roll their eyes and throw it to the side. And that's just kind of who she is. And stating she's a fan favorite, well, there must be a lot of sales with Captain Marvel. Well, that's not exactly the case. Looking at Captain Marvel number 46, the latest release from fan favorite writer Kelly Thompson, comicbook.com's words, not mine, you can see it nestled right under She-Hulk, Black Panther number 14. Everyone reviles that run of Black Panther by John Ridley. They also know at issue number 15, that comic book is going to be canceled, so people knew that that wasn't going to be out there. Avengers number 8, Facsimile Edition, a comic book over 60 years old being reprinted, outsold Captain Marvel. Joe Fixit, a comic book being told in continuity 30 years ago. Now, Peter David is absolutely amazing, and that is a great series, but typically those aren't selling as well as the in-continuity stories. The only modern characters actually selling worse are Captain America Symbol of Truth with Falcon Cap, a character no one likes, from a writer no one's heard of, and Monica Rambeau Photon, a character made completely obsolete just because Carol Danvers Captain Marvel exists now. When she was Miss Marvel, you could have a Captain Marvel Monica Rambeau or a Photon Monica Rambeau. But now that you've got Captain Marvel Carol Danvers taking your place, she probably doesn't even need to exist within Marvel Comics anymore. It's a duplicated character. And what a shame. Do we have enough strong black female superheroes in the Marvel Comics universe? Let's replace her with some lame-ass Karen that's better than everybody else in the world, like every other Karen out there. And that's why the character's never taken off. But we're going to celebrate her one last time. It all concludes with June's Captain Marvel number 50 by writer Kelly Thompson, and Marvel has released the first details and cover by artist Carmen Carnero. The cover features some of those standout moments we mentioned earlier from Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel run. Carnero is one of Thompson's many collaborators on Captain Marvel. We see Captain Marvel and her Accuser Squad, War Machine, Spider-Woman, Hazmat, Spectrum Photon, and her sister Lori L. from Empire, her alter ego Binary, Chewie the Cat, and many more. Whether or not Marvel decides to reboot Captain Marvel, and then the article just goes silent for reasons unknown. Obviously, they're going to reboot Captain Marvel. They've only done it 13 times already. It doesn't matter if the character fails. It doesn't matter if any enthusiasm for the character is astroturfed. It doesn't matter if not a single person in the world is excited for this reboot. It's going to happen because according to Marvel Comics, she's the Earth's mightiest Avenger. She's the most powerful one. Hell, we're going to have the reboot of the Avengers in time for the 60th anniversary of the Avengers team, and she's going to lead the goddamn team. Even though she's only been an Avenger for like 10 years now. Has it even been that long since she's been in the Captain Marvel persona? Maybe it's been a little bit longer, but no one cares because the character's not interesting. But they've got to have a series out, right? You got the Marvels coming up with Carol Danvers, Kamala Khan, and Monica Rambeau. I guess you got to have a series that coincides with that because people are just going to be running to comic shops going, where's my Captain Marvel? I just saw the Marvels. It was just such a good movie. I need to read the comic book that it's based on. Of course, it's not based on anything. It's based on Freaky Friday, taking some bits of Marvel's history with Rick Jones, but nothing really with Captain Marvel herself or Photon or Miss Marvel. And that's why that one's going to fail too, because they forgot you actually have to have good source material for the movies. And there's no good source material for Captain Marvel. They act like this is a big deal. And they claim that Kelly Thompson's a fan favorite writer, but I guess I'll give you the inside scoop on this one. This is it for Kelly Thompson. She's not coming back to Marvel. She's got no more projects. They've all dried up. Apparently, she does not like to play well with others. From what I'm told behind the scenes, and I don't believe this is a secret anymore, she has gone behind the backs of many other creators within Marvel Comics and had them removed from projects and stuff like that using her relationships with the editorial staff. Well, apparently the word got out and several high-profile creators, namely artists, went up to Marvel and said, I will never illustrate a comic written by Kelly Thompson. In fact, I will never create a cover for you to put on a comic book written by Kelly Thompson. That's how mad they were at it. Remember a few months ago, she was out there making waves and, I don't know, generally being a jackass on social media. And we're like, why does she need attention? The reason she needed attention is because she ain't got no more projects with Marvel. They stopped returning her phone calls. They're acting like it's a big celebration, but apparently they're just happy she's gone. And I'm kind of happy she's gone too. I wish they would just let the character lie dormant till they can actually find a good writer and do something with Carol Danvers. Once upon a time, she had a personality. Once upon a time, she was relatable. Once upon a time, she was a hero that you could root for. But it hasn't been during this Captain Marvel era. Nothing they have tried has worked. The problem is they've really only tried one thing, and they've gone back to it over and over and over again. When is it that Marvel Comics fans are going to get it through their thick heads that she's greater than everybody? She's the most powerful hero in the world, and you should like her for that. She doesn't have to be affable. She doesn't have to have a good story arc. She doesn't have to have a real goal in mind. She just has to be Carol Danvers, badass chick, and that's supposed to be enough for you to buy a comic book. Well, that's not how it works. In fact, it sounds like the Marvels are in real trouble. And one of the main reasons is because people didn't like the character from the movie despite making all that money. Kevin Feige is doing everything he can to save the character in the big screen as well. If you haven't seen this coverage, you've got to see it right now. There's also a link in the video description.